Welcome to Cognito Key, where we break down the big ideas behind the things you see every day. And today, we're talking about something you've probably seen a little too often. You know what I'm talking about? That fuzzy patch that just pops up on your bread when you've left it out for maybe a day or two too long. But what is that stuff, really? It feels like it just appears out of thin air, right? One minute you have a perfectly good slice of bread, and the next, well, it's something you definitely don't want anywhere near your toaster. So let's peel back that fuzzy layer and see what's really going on. All right, so this fuzzy culprit actually has a name, and it's the star of our show today. Let's unmask this tiny, common invader. So, say hello to Rhizopus. That's its scientific name. It's a type of fungus that is so incredibly widespread that scientists actually call it cosmopolitan, meaning it's found just about everywhere. You've probably heard it called bread mold, black mold, or even pin mold. It belongs to a class of fungi called Zygomycetes, and these guys, they are some of the fastest growing and most common molds on the entire planet. And believe it or not, this is nothing new. The name Rhizopus was first given to this genus way back in 1820. Since then, we've identified about 8 to 10 different species. And it's not just a bread problem. This fungus is a true global citizen, thriving on all kinds of decaying stuff, from forgotten fruits in your fruit bowl to old vegetables. Okay, so how is this tiny organism actually built? What's its secret? Let's take a closer look at the blueprint that lets it spread so ridiculously fast. So, the main body of Rhizopus is made up of these tiny, branching threads called hyphae. Now, it's easiest to think of them in two main groups. First, you've got the vegetative hyphae. These are like the foundation of a building. Their whole job is to anchor the fungus down and soak up all the nutrients from, say, your slice of bread. Then you have the reproductive hyphae. These are like the towers, growing upwards with just one single mission: to produce and release spores. And even that foundation has two specialized parts. You've got the stolon, which is like a runner. It's an aerial thread that spreads out horizontally, kind of exploring new territory across the surface. And when it finds a promising spot, boom, it sends down rhizoids. These are the anchors, digging right down into the food source to absorb all those yummy nutrients. So this whole network of threads, that's the main body, and it's called the mycelium. And it has some really fascinating features. For starters, its cell walls are made of chitin. That's the same tough stuff you find in insect exoskeletons. How cool is that? It stores its energy as glycogen, which is actually pretty similar to how we store energy in our own bodies. But maybe the coolest part is its digestion. It's extracellular. That means it actually digests its food outside its body by releasing enzymes, and then it absorbs the nutrients. It basically turns its environment into a soup before eating it. So you can see how this whole structure is perfectly designed for one thing: rapid expansion. But how does it take over an entire loaf of bread so fast? Well, it all comes down to its absolutely incredible reproductive strategy. The secret weapon in its arsenal is something called a sporangiospore. These are just tiny, super lightweight asexual spores. Now, they can't move on their own, but here's the kicker. They are produced in absolutely massive numbers, all packed inside a protective little case called a sporangium. And here's how the magic happens. First, a stalk, called a sporangiophore, grows straight up. The very tip of this stalk starts to swell up, forming that sporangium we just talked about, which pretty much becomes a factory, churning out thousands and thousands of spores. Then, when the conditions are just right, the fragile wall of that sporangium just breaks open, and whoosh, a huge microscopic cloud of spores is released into the air, with every single one ready to start a new colony. Now you're probably thinking, is that the only way it reproduces? What about sexual reproduction? Well, yes, that does happen, but it's much less common. Think of it more like a backup plan for the fungus. So this happens when two different but compatible mycelia bump into each other. They fuse parts of their structures together and create something called a zygospore. And the most important thing to know about the zygospore is its tough, thick wall. This thing is built to last. It makes it incredibly resilient, allowing it to survive really harsh conditions, like a drought or freezing cold. So you see, it's a survival strategy, not really a spreading strategy. Okay, so we've got this super efficient organism that's basically everywhere. But is it a good thing or a bad thing? Well, like so many things in nature, the answer is it's a bit of both. Rhizopus is truly a double-edged fungus. On the one hand, Rhizopus is definitely our friend.
It's what's known as saprobic, which just means it lives on dead and decaying stuff. This makes it a vital decomposer in our ecosystem, a tiny recycler, breaking down organic material and returning nutrients to the soil. But on the other hand, it can be a serious foe. It's an opportunist, and while it's usually harmless to us, in people who have weakened immune systems, it can become parasitic and cause a really serious infection called mucormycosis.
So, what's the big takeaway here? I think it's that the next time you see that little spot of mold, you'll remember there is so much more to it than meets the eye. From just one simple fuzzy spot comes this incredibly complex story, a story of survival, of amazing structure, and of the delicate ecological balance between life and decay. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? If all of this complexity is hiding in a common bit of bread mold, what other incredible, invisible worlds are just thriving all around us, waiting to be discovered? If you enjoyed uncovering the secrets of Rhizopus with us, please subscribe to Cognito Key. And of course, don't forget to like and share this explainer. Thanks so much for watching.